And let's see, I'm also checking it out here on my Facebook page. And then I'll also look up here on my cell phone. So this is fantastic. And we are broadcasting here. Okay, so let's get started here. Thank you so much, dear devotees, for joining us today on a weekend night, Friday, and adjusting your schedules to adjust to mine. We'll get started after this short prayer to the spiritual master. Om Ajnana-timarandhasya Jnana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So continuing on from our reading from the Bhagavad-gita, chapter number 4, which is transcendental knowledge. So the verse for today is
fifth one, 4.5.
What do you say? All of you are on board with that? Are we going to do 4.5?
4.4.
4.4? Okay, we'll take 4.4 then. Because if we do 4.5, we might miss 4.4, right? All right. Okay, so let me start sharing my screen here. 4.4, please confirm that you're able to see it on your screen and that it is readable for you. It is, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Arjun Uvacha Aparam Bhavato Janma Param Janma Vivasvataha Katham Etad Vijaniyam Tvam Adau Proktavaniti. Arjun Uvacha Aparam Bhavato Janma Param Janma Vivasvataha Katham Etad Vijaniyam Tvam Adau Proktavaniti. Arjun Uvacha Aparam Bhavato Janma Param Janma Vivasvataha Katham Etad Vijaniyam Tvam Adau Proktavaniti. So how many lines are there in today's shloka?
4. 4 lines.
Mataji, if we include Arjuna Vacha, then 5.
And why would you not include it?
Yes, we will.
Yes.
We have to include it, okay? That was a trick question. All right, so yeah, Arjuna Vacha, Arjuna Vacha. Vacha means?
Said.
He spoke.
Arjun said, right, okay? All right, so let's look at the synonyms. Arjuna Vacha, Arjun said. Aparam is junior. Bhavataha, your, Janma, birth. Param, superior, Janma, birth. Vivasvataha, of the sun god. Katham, how. Etat, this. Vijaniyam, shall I understand. Jana, understand. Shall I understand. Vijaniyam, tvam, you. Adav, in the beginning, right? Adav, Shraddha, tatha, right? So, in the beginning, Proktavan, instructed. Iti, does. Okay? So let's look at some of the new words that you came across today in this verse. Anybody? Anybody?
Aparam,
Aparam. And what does aparam mean?
junior.
All right. And what would be the opposite of that?
Senior.
Senior.
Oh, we're talking Sanskrit.
Superior.
Param. Param.
Param.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is sun god's name?
Vivashtavaha. Which one?
Vivasvataha, Vivaswan, right? Vivaswan is the name, right? We read that in the earlier verses. And remember, we are saying the sun god Vivasvatan because sun god is a position. He's the king of the planet sun, and that position can be obtained by any jiva soul, provided they do fulfill whatever are the requirements there. Okay, so these positions will change as much as Manu's, the Manu is the father of mankind, but there are many Manus. In one day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus, like that, right? So we are, and the reign and the duration of the life of a Manu is known as Manvantar, right? Manvantar, the duration of period of his life. And so 14 Manvantaras make one day of Brahma. And so Brahma, so Manvantar, so right now in the calculating in the present day of Brahma, whatever we are in, we all are in. So in this day of Brahma, 6 Manus have come and gone. And we are in the reign of the 7th Manu. Okay, so Chakshusha is our Manu right now. So Vivashvataha, so Vivashvan was the first Manu, first, sun god there when Brahma was born. So Katham, how, etad, this, Vijaniyam, shall I understand? Okay, instructed, what's Sanskrit for instructed?
Proktvan.
Is it Proktvan or is it Proktavan?
Proktavan.
Yeah, don't drop, catch this A. Don't drop it. All right. So he's saying that in the beginning, so let's look at the translation. Arjun said, the sun god Vivashvan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? Right? And what science is he talking about?
Krishna, science of Krishna, understanding Krishna.
Transcendental knowledge.
Transcendental knowledge. Yes, and this particular instruction that he's going to give, right? So let's go back and look at this, look at the chapter number 4, and let's look at the first few verses. The personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivashvan, and Vivashvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ishkavaku. This supreme science was thus received to the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme, yoga, right? Yoga here, to the Supreme is told today by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. Arjuna said, the sun god Vivashvan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? So it's a very interesting situation over here, right? So you notice over here that we have gone 4 verses deep into this particular chapter when Arjun is asking this question. The sun god Vivashvan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand, right? And Krishna has spoken 3 verses before that, before he props up this question. But then when was the mention of Vivashvan made in this chapter?
Well,
yes, in the very first verse, right?
yes.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna said, I instructed this science of this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivashvan. So he's saying that I instructed it to sun god Vivashvan, and Vivashvan instructed it to Mani. So Vivashvan is being mentioned here in the first chapter only. So normally, when we look and when we see what is happening over here. Okay, so Krishna is saying, tells him that I've been instructing this kinds of yoga or devotional service to the Lord, and then he also talks about that it was come through a chain of disciplic succession and it was broken. And then, why am I telling this to you? Because you are my friend and you are my devotee. The 3 things Krishna has said, right? That is, this knowledge was imparted, it was broken, and now I'm going to reestablish this thing again. Right? So the interesting thing to notice over here, and there are so many nuances to these verses, and we require acharyas like Srila Prabhupada, Baldev Vidya Bhushan, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur. We need devotees of that caliber to be able to go deeper into the ocean of Bhagavad-gita and to pick up the pearls from there and give it to us, right? Like, you to find ocean is full of goodies, right? I mean, if you just stay on the surface of ocean, you might find a empty plastic bottle floating on the surface of the ocean, sadly. Or you might find a shoe. Somehow, I don't know why shoes land up there. But anyway, those are some of the things that I have seen in the sea. But if you dig deeper, as you dive deeper into the ocean, that is where you get the pearls and the things like that, right? Even ore is there at the bottom of the sea. So similarly, in this ocean of Bhagavad-gita, one has to really be an expert diver. And not everybody can dive into the ocean, right? And so to be able to take you to the bottom of the ocean, you have to be a diver of a particular caliber who can grab you by the collar and take you down there and show you what it is, the beauty underneath in the ocean, and get the gems, or dive in and get the gems for you and bring them over here. So we have to go and into the into the association of these divine personalities, and get the real bhava, right? The real what's going on between Arjuna and Krishna there, right? And I had mentioned last time when Krishna had said that, Arjuna, you are my friend, and you are my friend and you are my devotee. So I was telling you that picturized that Mahabharata war, and we had seen Vyuha, right? We had seen pictures of Vyuha in our Sunday class, right? How these Chakravyuhas are laid out. So imagine all that. There's so much of noise happening. So many people are there ready to fight. And in the middle of all this, like, Krishna takes a 45-minute break to explain Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, so to speak, right? So, and why is this happening? Why is Krishna giving this to Arjuna? Is because of many reasons. Many reasons. First, first is a reason that Krishna has given, that you are my friend and you are my devotee. That's why I'm giving it to you, right? But there's a lesson and a message. There are many lessons and many messages for us from these 4 verses that we have seen. And one of them is that the etiquette between the student and the teacher, right? And it was Arjuna who had said, Shishyasteham Shadi Mam Tvam Prapannam. He had said in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita that I am a soul surrendered unto you, right? And so he's a Shishya and he has to behave like that. How? Tat vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevayas. He has to behave like that. And so when Krishna says that I first instructed this science of, imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivashwan. And you remember, in the 3rd verse, we come to know that Krishna is saying that you are my friend. Krishna is saying, but we know that, right? That they were cousins, a very friendly, same age group, right? When cousins are of the same age group, they are up to a lot of mischief, right? I'm pretty sure Krishna means so mischievous, must have been up to some mischief with Arjuna also as kids. But anyway, so he's his friend. But look at the etiquette that, in the 1st verse, when Krishna says that I spoke this science of yoga to the sun god Vivashwan, he could have just said, hey, wait a minute, Krishna, what's going on? And then he could have said the verse from today that, he's so senior and you are from here, right? But he waits and he lets Krishna finish his thought. And so while Krishna is telling him that, I had instructed this to the sun god, and then it got broken, and then he comes and says something very intimate. And as you read the Bhagavad Gita, you get very touched with that. And so when I distribute Srimad Bhagavatams and Bhagavad Gitas, right? And you're trying to position Bhagavatam, which is a difficult thing to present, because why? It's a humongous 18-volume Bhagavatam set. And you're convincing somebody to take it. I mean, number one, there's no space in the home, and there's no space in the heart either, to put that. And Bhagavad Gita is more popular. It's like the thing. Anybody and everybody in India says, Bhagavad Gita, yeah, I know Bhagavad Gita. I'm from India. But that's not necessarily the case that we all know Bhagavad Gita. But anyway, the thing to note over here is that I always present it as Srimad Bhagavatam is full of stories, and you find it very interesting reading. But Bhagavad Gita is philosophy. Where are the stories in Bhagavad Gita? Not a single story, right? We always have to, go and pick up something from Srimad Bhagavatam to make the class a little, light on us. It's like philosophy. But look at these acharyas. They bring out and they point out to you that, is Bhagavad Gita devoid of all emotions? As there's a lot of emotions there in Srimad Bhagavatam, where you read the story. Of course, All varieties of emotions are in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, where Krishna talks about his Leela. Not Krishna talks about his Leela, but Sukdev Goswami is narrating the Leelas of Krishna to Sukdev, to Parikshit Maharaj. So it's full of emotions. And then, of course, how he kills Kamsa. So there is Veeras and, the Gopis, the Shingaras, and, Sudama. So all kinds of Devki, all the rasas are there. It's dripping. It's dripping of the nectar there. And then we say that, Bhagavad-gita is dry. It's dry philosophy. However, you notice that there is emotions right in the beginning of Bhagavad-gita. In the very first chapter, in the very first verse, there is an emotion. What is the emotion that we come across in the very first verse of Bhagavad-gita?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Emotion of, you see, my sons and your sons both are fighting. What are they doing? So here itself, you see, he has differentiated between his sons and his brother's sons. So this emotion, and another emotion which comes is he's concerned about his children. What decision are they going to take? What are they doing?
He was concerned that they might take a decision not in their favor. So that concern was there, but there's another emotion there, which is related to Dharma Kshetra.
Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra, something.
What is that emotion?
Yeah, that it is a religious place and it might affect, you see, in that religious.
What is that emotion? What is that emotion? Yeah, what
doubt.
is that emotion?
Is it doubt?
Scare, fear.
Fear, fear is the emotion, right? So that's the emotion. So the Bhagavad-gita starts with emotions, actually. Starts with emotions. So we see that. And then, of course, soon after that, Arjuna plunges into emotions. He says, Krishna, put the chariot. Hey, Yadav, put the chariot in between the two armies. I want to see. And then when he sees that, he gets so overwhelmed. We see all emotions. The throat is drying. This is, how can I do the katham? Tell me, I'm confused. All that, right? And then emotions deepen when we go to the second chapter of Bhagavad-gita. When it starts with tam tata kripiya vishtam ashrupurna kulekshanam. Ashrupurna. Ashru means?
Ansu. Tears.
Tears, right? So tear. Ashrupurna kulekshanam. Kuleksh means his eyes. Right? So there is Arjuna who's got, he's full of his tears. And then Prabhupada says, why is Arjuna crying? You are a Kshatriya. You're not supposed to cry. They'll call you a sissy. In the Satriya speak. And so he's crying. And then Prabhupada explains in the purport, and Prabhupada says that he's crying because he's a devotee. He's a devotee. So we know that in the second chapter itself. So, the fact that Arjuna, at least, from the Bhagavad-gita, if you're drawing the facts, then we know that Arjuna is a devotee of Lord Krishna there. And then in the same verse, Arjuna is crying, tam tata kripiya vishnam ashnu purna kulekshanam vishidantam idam vakyam. Vishidantam means is laughing. Krishna is laughing. So here's Arjuna. He's so full of emotions and Krishna is laughing. Why? Because Krishna's emotions and Krishna's concerns are useless, for the useless thing. And Prabhupada says compassion for the coat of a dying man is useless compassion, and that's what he's doing, right? So, there are emotions there in the Bhagavad-gita, and so as we continue on over here into chapter number 4, so you see that Krishna, after explaining that the disciplic succession is lost, and then he says, "But I'm going to tell you, and why am I going to tell you?" He says, "Because you are my friend and you are my devotee." So you see, Arjuna had said, Gurun, you are my Shishyasteham Shadi Mam Tom Prapannam. So he had put him there at that level. And Krishna is not saying, Krishna is saying, forget about all these things. Forget about the fact that, I have been teaching this. I'm such a great scholar, such a great teacher, Jagat Guru. I've been teaching it to sun god Vivashwan and to Ishkwaku and the Manus of the kinds, through the parampara. And, but I'm going to tell you that. And why? Because you are my devotee, you're my friend, right? So you see that from intense philosophical discussions that are going to have, immediately Krishna has turned it around and the topic is completely, gone emotional there. So he's touching the emotions of Arjuna, right? For example, I can sit over here and then, I can talk philosophy from Bhagavad-gita. There's plenty over there, right? But if I just turn it on and say like, Sadhana Mataji, how are things with you? I see a ball in your hand. Is your hand hurting? Then immediately, there's something that a connection deepens there and the teacher has just touched the heart there, right? And so when the heart-to-heart connection is there, then things can flow. There has to be a connection for things to flow, right? There's a connection from the water tank to the tap. There are pipes there, right? Similarly, from the heart to other parts of the body, there are pipes. So Krishna makes that connection. And this is the beauty and the sweetness of this relationship between Krishna and Arjuna, is that Krishna says that you are my friend and you are my devotee. That's why I'm telling you that, right? And then look at the beauty of Arjuna, that he has waited, he has heard that, and as soon as Krishna is saying that, his heart is now softening. And then he's asking, so one thing important to note is that, he's playing the role of a Sishya, being silent and asking questions at the right time, right? And then over here, when he's saying that, you're my friend and you're my relative, then he seems to be, you're my friend and my devotee. It's like, you're my devotee, then why are you even asking this question? That Vivashwan is older by you in birth, and he's Param and you are Aparam, you are junior, you are young, and he was born 2 million or 10 million years ago. You're not supposed to ask these questions. You are a devotee. Devotee is supposed to know that Krishna is Ishvara Parma Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. He's supposed to know that. Right? I mean, we didn't have that doubt, right? Did you have a doubt that how could Krishna, when we were reading 4.1, none of you asked me that question, that how could Krishna explain that, right? You had that in you. So what? So does Arjuna?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Even when our seniors, acharyas tell us something, we have full faith that what they are speaking out of Shastras, and we trust them. So same way, you see, Arjuna is also trusting Krishna that whatever he tells is the truth.
But he doesn't seem to be trusting here, right? Because he's questioning. He's saying, how could you? He's saying, how could you have done that? He's senior than you, and you are here. He was 1 million of years ago. How do I believe that you did that, right?
Well, so it's not really not mistrust, really. He's just clearing his doubts, right?
But why would that doubt arouse? Why would that doubt arouse? You're a devotee.
Because if somebody's independently, if they're independently thoughtful, because you have your will, you have self-will, and you're independently thoughtful, then if he already knew everything and heard everything and agreed, then he would already be 100% surrendered, and then he won't have those doubts, right? So it's kind of like, and for Arjuna, he's just doing this for us anyway. But
that is the point. That is the point. That is the point. Arjuna
we're not
is a
100%
devotee of the Lord, right? We know that from previous verses that he is a devotee of the Lord. He's already there, right? Why he's asking that question is not because, and this is we have to understand, and that is why we dig deeper into these verses to know that the reason that Arjuna is asking that question is not for himself. Actually, do you think that somebody who is so close to Krishna that he participates in the Leela of Krishna, right? When Krishna comes here, then Arjuna always comes. Later on in the other verses, in the next few verses, Krishna is going to tell him that, in many, many births you and I have come together. I remember it and you don't remember that. So he has this opportunity or the good fortune to be with Krishna in all the pastimes that Krishna is participating in, right? Whenever he comes with his paraphernalia tour. So he's part of that. He's the inner circle of Krishna. And the reason that he's asking this question, the reason that entire Bhagavad-gita was spoken here, right? So, and how Arjuna was put into that confusion in the first chapter of Bhagavad-gita. If you are thinking that Arjuna saw that and he was put and he became like that, it was not like that. There was Krishna sitting right next to him, and Krishna is naughty. And so, when he said, he first and foremost, he said that on purpose. When Arjuna says that, please pull the chariot between the two armies, I want to see them, right? Dishvayam Sajanam Krishnam, Yutsam Sam Upastitam. I want to see who are these people, these evil-minded friends of Duryodhana who have come here to fight, right? And Krishna could have just drawn the vehicle there and stopped, right? But then Uvach Partha Paschetan Samvetan Kuruniti. So then Krishna says, look at the Kurus, right? Like, for example, if I were to say, look at the Maliks, and then Varsha Mataji will say, oh my goodness, my relatives are there, right? So he said that on purpose. And so all this Arjuna of such a high caliber, such a devotee of the Lord, and you read all in the Srimad Bhagavatam, every time he knows that, right? That Krishna, but he was put into that kind of an illusion on purpose. And the reason for that is now being mentioned in the 4th chapter, that Krishna wanted to speak the Bhagavad-gita. He wanted to speak it, and this was this whole arrangement of Krishna to put Arjuna into this confusion, and for Arjuna to now ask questions. Now he's ready in a ripe soul to be able to listen to Bhagavad-gita. And there'll be more there. I'll talk about that, but I see a hand there from Sadhana Mataji. Go ahead, Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. So which other expansions of Arjuna are there in the other Leelas? Like we have...
Nar-Narayan is one that comes to my mind.
Which one, sorry?
The Nar-Narayan. The Nana Rishis, up in the Himalayas. It's a very nice story where both of them were meditating, and of course, when two people are meditating, who gets upset? Indra, right? So Indra wants to break their meditation, so he sends a very beautiful society girl there to break their thing, and of course, both of them are not disturbed by that. And then what Krishna does is that through his from his thigh, right? From his thigh, he just taps his thigh. By touching this from his thigh, he is able to create a lady who is even more beautiful, extremely, extremely beautiful, right? And he sends it out, So then Indra is very ashamed. And so that's a girl who was born from his thigh is known as Urvashi, right? So from Sanskrit. So that's one where Arjuna is there with Krishna. And every time Krishna will come here, Arjuna will always come with him. Like that in that pastime. So that and in the next chapter he's going to say Bahunani, right? There's so many janmas that you and I have come. You don't remember, but I remember, and so we have been there over here. We have been coming there, right? So another thing to also notice over here is that when we talk about parampara, when we talk about knowledge, and so when we start reading there are so many versions of Bhagavad-gita, right? What is it why are we so much attracted to Bhagavad-gita as it is? It didn't take us a whole lifetime, because all of you are young. It didn't take us a whole lifetime to study different flavors of Bhagavad-gita and then come and conclude that this is Srila Prabhupada's thing. There was something there, right? There was some connection that got made between us and Srila Prabhupada, right? So there's something going on there, right? So why? Because Prabhupada is able to touch our hearts, and then the knowledge can transfer to us, right? So now when people touch our hearts, they have to make an impression in the heart also, right? So sometimes you go to various kinds of classes, and again, when knowledge is imparted, there is a person who's giving the knowledge, the giver, and then there is a receiver, right? And then there is a topic that is being given. Okay, so the perfect conversation is where you have the best of the speaker, you have the best of the receiver, and the best of the topic. So what do you think is the best of the topic to discuss? What's the price of red bell pepper? What's the best topic?
There are two things, Mataji. One is to know yourself, who you
Two
are.
things cannot be
Another-
best. Two things cannot be best. Best is only one. So give me the best.
And to know the
Krishna.
Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah.
What is the best topic to discuss?
To talk about the glories of Krishna.
The best topic to discuss is simple answer, Krishna. Right? The best topic to discuss is Krishna. Right? And we see an example of the best of the conversation that happened, and that was between Sukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. What were they talking? Krishna.
Krishna.
His creation, his topics, his protection, the way he annihilates, the way he maintains the planetary systems, his devotees, right? How he's the ultimate shelter of everybody. So that was a topic that was being discussed in that Srimad Bhagavatam. And then look at Sukdev Goswami and look at Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj sitting there, not wanting food. Right here it is like, when is the class going to end? When are they serving prasadam? I can smell the prasadam, like that, right? So, and if that, okay, do you think like, after every class we have prasadam, right? Do you think people will come if we don't offer prasadam? The attendance is going to fall down. So this is one of the things that's so interesting that, somebody was mentioning that Bhagavad-gita solves all your problems. So somebody said, how does it solve the problem of my financial problem? Because not going to tell me how do I invest my money, how do I do this, and how do I get a better job and all that. So he said that first thing is that Bhagavad-gita teaches you about the 4 regulative principles. The moment you say 4 regulative principles, that's it. Meat is gone, eggs is gone. Expensive items are gone. You eat prasadam only, so all restaurants are gone. Like that, right? Onions is gone, garlic is gone. So automatically your economic things are, your financial condition has been taken care of. And if not that, then, you go to the temple and you eat. You don't even know, from where all this is coming. You just go and have prasadam and come back. So anyway, so what I was saying was that about the conversations, people who are talking should be able to make an impression in the mind. And so when that impression is not happening, it's from both the sides, from the guru who should be speaking from personal experience, and also from the shishya who should be ready to allow the teacher to make an impression. Right? Now, if I have to make an impression on something, okay, like I give you a piece of wax, right? I give you a wax bar. And I tell you that I want my name to appear, or Krishna's name to appear, on the bar. What are the different ways that you can do it on the bar? Have Krishna's name there. It's a bar of wax.
You can slowly melt it, and just very slightly, and while it's melting, you can carve the name of Krishna.
Fantastic. And if you don't melt it, then can you not carve it?
If it's very hard, you
We
can,
can.
but you can.
Right. So you see, very beautifully said that some melting is required. Some melting is required there, right? So when you're soft, when things are soft, they're impressionable. That's why they say that young kids, the minds are soft, they're impressionable. And our problem is, and you will not believe it, our problem is that we become hard and hard and hard and hard as we progress in age. Unless we are devotees.
Rigid.
Look at small kids, they cry. And it's amazing that, a 1-year-old toddler going around sees another toddler crying and he starts crying. They are so soft-hearted, right? But we don't do that. I mean, we could be watching some horrible thing happening to some country and sitting down in front of a television, and we could be eating, potato chips. Nothing happens to us. We cry only when something that we call our own is happening. Mamaka Pandavaschaiva, Kim Akurvat Sanjaya. What did my sons do? Right? That is hardening of the heart. So the heart has to soften. And once the heart softens, then there's a very beautiful exchange of relationship between people, right? So I'm telling this to you because you are my friend and my devotee. It hits Arjuna's heart and immediately melts it. So melting of the heart is very, very important. Evam vrata swa priya nama kirtya jatanurago ditachitta hirdaya. So druta is to make it draval or to make it soft. It's very, very important point. So Krishna has softened his heart, right? Because otherwise, earlier, the heart is little hard. Why? My teacher is sitting in front of me. I'm your student. Shishyasteham shadimam tam prapanna. I'm an alert, like that. But then Krishna is saying, you're my friend. Okay, relax. Now I will let things fall in, right? But then it looks like Krishna did such a nice gesture that you're my friend. And then the friend himself is doubting. The friend himself is saying, right? So there is so much meaning to the words, and our acharyas have brought out so much of knowledge that would just pass our eyes. We won't even, realize how much, saturated this verse is with so much of information which is there. To us, it looks like a simple question, right? He's senior to you, and how do I understand that? It's a very simple thing, right? But number one, that we know that from acharyas that this question, it's not that Arjuna is asking for himself. He's asking this question for others, right? And then there are some more words also, but I'll go in and talk about that. But before that, let's see what Prabhupada has to say, right? We'll go into the purport again of this verse. So digging into text number 4, where he's saying, Arjuna Upacha, aparam bhavato janma, param janma vivashvata, katham etad vijaniyam tvam adau proktavan iti. So Arjuna is an accepted devotee of the Lord. So how could he not believe Krishna's words? The fact is that Arjuna is not inquiring for himself, but for those who do not believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or for the demons who do not like the idea that Krishna should be accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For them only, Arjuna inquires on this point, as if he were himself not aware of the personality of Godhead of Krishna. It will be evident from the 10th chapter, Arjuna knew perfectly well that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the fountainhead of everything, and the last word in transcendence. Of course, Krishna also appeared as the son of Devaki on this earth. How Krishna remained the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, the eternal original person, is very difficult for an ordinary man to understand. Therefore, to clarify this point, Arjuna put this question before Krishna so that he himself could speak authoritatively. That Krishna is the supreme authority, that Krishna is the supreme authority is accepted by the whole world, not only at present, but from time immemorial, and the demons alone reject him. Anyway, since Krishna is the authority accepted by all, Arjuna put this question before him in order that Krishna would describe himself without being depicted by the demons who always try to distort him in a way understandable to the demons and their followers. It is necessary that everyone, for his own interest, know the signs of Krishna. Therefore, when Krishna himself speaks about himself, it is auspicious for all the worlds. To the demons, such explanations by Krishna himself may appear to be strange, because demons always study Krishna from their standpoints. But those who are devotees heartily welcome the statements of Krishna when they are spoken by Krishna himself. The devotees always worship such authoritative statements of Krishna because they are always eager to know more and more about him. The atheist who consider Krishna an ordinary man may in this way come to know that Krishna is superhuman, that he is Satchidanand Vigraha, the eternal form of bliss and knowledge, that he is transcendental, and that he is above the domination of the modes of material nature and above the influence of time and space. A devotee of Krishna like Arjuna is undoubtedly above any misunderstanding of the transcendental position of Krishna. Arjuna's putting this question before the Lord is simply an attempt by the devotee to defy the atheistic attitude of persons who consider Krishna to be an ordinary human being subject to the modes of material nature. Om Tat Sat, right? So one point very nicely mentioned and emphasized by Srila Prabhupada here is that Arjuna is asking all these questions so that Krishna will get a chance. If Krishna doesn't speak about himself, others are going to speak about Krishna. And then others could be demons or atheists, and then they will use their own mental faculties, which are mundane, which are materialistic, to describe something which is supernatural, right? So he's asking him to go and describe this, right? And something very interesting that was there in Srila Prabhupada is that, I'm just looking at that, and I'll bring this up right as soon as I find it. Yeah, look at that. It's so beautiful. sentence here in the purport, last sentence here. So Arjuna is putting this question before the Lord is simply an attempt by the devotee to defy the atheistic attitudes of persons who can just look at the loyalty. Look at the loyalty that he has. Arjuna has got this loyalty for his friend Krishna, that he doesn't want anybody to, spoil the name of his friend Krishna. Right? Would you like it if somebody, you considered somebody your friend, and if somebody was trying to spoil the name or present them in a bad light, would you tolerate that? Would you? No, right? So so look at that relationship is, you see, so that relationship is that, because he's bhakto si me sakha cheti, he said that, right? You are my bhakta and you are my friend. So from both the perspective, our devotee also will not tolerate anybody trying to do anything to the Lord, right? So we have Bhakti Raghav Swami Maharaj, right? And we have a nice disciple of Bhakti Raghav Swami Maharaj, Shri Krishna Purushottam Prabhu, who is into cow protection, where our Sadhana Mataji goes and takes care of the cows and does service to the cows, right? So he already had a leg which was, kind of giving problems, right? And then there was he was in a temple in India, I think it was Mayapur, I'm forgetting, or Vrindavan, but anyway, some dacoits came, because they know there is gold, right, there in the temple, so they came to steal, and trying to defend that. Bhakti Raghav Swami put in defense. Now you can't defile the deities that are there. So he put up a fight with them, and then these dacoits, when they were leaving, they blast a bomb as they went, because he was going to chase them. So in their protection, they blast a bomb so that he would not follow them, and that bomb went and hurt him, and that's why he lost his leg. And which leg did he lose? Not the bad one, but the good one. So he was left with one leg, the one which was already giving him problem. But look at that. Even with that, he used to come to America, pre-COVID days and things like that. So because he did not want anybody to do anything to his Lord. So that's the depth of his emotions to the Lord. And devotional service is emotions. It's the highest emotion that you can have, right? So that's emotion. On the other hand, also, you see, Krishna says, Kanteya prati janihi name bhaktya pranashyati, right? And why does he say, he's a declare, O Arjuna, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Why is he saying my devotee never perishes? Why is he asking Arjuna to say? He could have himself said, my devotee never perishes. But he knows that, he can go back on his words. But if his devotee is declaring or saying something, Krishna will make sure that thing is always made true. That thing always happens, right? So he will back it up. And he did that. And to his friend, he will break the promises that he has made, right? So what was Krishna's promise for the Mahabharata war? What was his promise that he had made for the war? Go ahead, Vaishnava Mataji.
Yeah, yes. He said that he will not pick up any weapon. Whereas,
right?
You say, yeah.
Yeah, so he said that was his promise, that I will not pick up any weapon, right? And then, later on, when there was a fierce battle going on between Arjuna and Bhishma Pitama. And Bhishma Pitama was, more valiant than Arjuna. And so Krishna knew that he's going to finish him off. And then at that time, Krishna got very angry and he started running and he took up the wheel of a chariot and started running towards Bhishma Pitama. And Bhishma Pitama, that's another story, that he was relishing that bhav. But for the sake of his friend, he broke his promise. Like that, So a friend is one who will always come, and try to protect you. A friend will even give up their lives. We have seen so many, examples in life of, people give up their life trying to save their friend, right? So if there is a friendship relationship between Krishna and Arjuna, Krishna will do that and Arjuna will do that, right? So here, Arjuna is trying to protect the image of the Lord from being defiled by the atheist by saying that, so asking this question so that now Krishna will elaborate more and tell us more about him. And of course, he's going to do that rest. And Arjuna is also going to ask questions in the Bhagavad-gita, because he says, show me your universal form, right? A word about it. So even Krishna shows that to him. So that's one of the things to keep in mind over there, that Krishna, Arjuna has asked this question because of the fact that He doesn't want atheists to defy. And then one of the things is that Arjuna is asking this question because he knows that when others are going to read it, the atheists or the not so perfect devotees, they are going to ask this question. They are definitely going to ask this question. So let's have this question squared away. Let's find the answer to that question and let be done. Let Krishna answer that question, right? Otherwise, later on the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna will say that avajananti mamura manushim tanum ashritaha param bhavam na jananto mavabhuta maheshwaram. So he says that I am people avajananti mamura, those who are mudas, not foolish, but extremely foolish, right? Those who are extremely foolish people, they do not understand me and they think me to be a human being, right? In a human body, right? I'm just a yogi. I've got some supernatural powers like that. They are doubting Toms and they will always doubt, right? But when we come to higher stages of devotional service, the surrender to Krishna becomes so much that we even stop using our willpower. The gopis, let's say, and of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the mood of a gopi just says, it doesn't matter what you do to me, whether you become a debauchee or whether you don't even appear before me, you do, or whatever you do to me. Like, where's your willpower? Where's your self-esteem, right? But at that level, there is no self-esteem. When the love is so great that the soul is a completely surrendered soul to the God, at that time, those kind of things will happen. For example, when we were reading the Srimad Bhagavatam in the chapter where there is Putana, right? So Putana is there and we hear that, she comes as a very beautiful heavenly damsel. All the innocent people in Vrindavan are affected by her beauty and they let her come in. And she has come, with her breast smeared with poison. And she's looking for Krishna. And she goes into the sanctum sanctorium, which is like the inner of the house of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. And nobody says anything to her. She goes all the way inside, right? And then, of course, the rest of it is history. Krishna sucks the life breath out of her together with the poison in the milk. And then she dies. Now, one of the things about this mystic yoga is that mystic yoga allows you to take any way, shape, or form, right? You can take the form of an animal. You can become a beautiful woman. You can become, whatever you are. Because there is it's a mystic opulence. So you can do certain, endeavors and you can get those mystic opulences. So she had that opulence. And so she was able to convert herself into a beautiful lady. But what happens is that if you convert yourself into whatever different form that you are, due to these mystic opulences, when you are killed, when you die, at that time you return to your original form. So Putana, when he was killed, when Krishna ultimately sucks the life air out of her, at that time, Putana returns to her original position, or her original form. And how tall was the original form? Does anybody remember?
8 miles.
Yeah, right? 8 or 6 miles, like that, right? So, such a tall form. And we are like, okay, we are not doubting, like, show me another 8 mile long person, 8 mile tall person, show me, where is it? I've not seen that history, show me, right? Why? Because we have reached that stage that anything that is there with Krishna, we are accepting it, right? And of course, then later on, Shastras will tell you this and that, and people in those yugas are tall, some could do that, and like that. So she falls at this thing. So that's a difference between bhakta, and there's a difference between, and then, and so now Putna's story is very interesting. It's very, very interesting because it shows you an aspect of Krishna, which is amazing, which is just beyond amazing. Because here he is saying, Bhakto si me sakhaseti, because you are my friend and you are my devotee. So that's why I'm telling you this thing, this piece of information, right? However, do we know what was the ultimate destination of Putana?
She went back to Godhead.
She went back to Godhead, right? Okay. How come?
Because she came as a mother, and Lord considered her as a mother.
Right. She came as to give him milk. Not even mother. She came to give him milk. So that's the beauty of Krishna, that Krishna will has got this power of sifting and sorting. And so he just sifted and looked at the good thing in Putana. And he said that, okay, she came to kill me. Yeah, her brother asked her to do that. So she was just trying to please her brother. She did that. However, she came to give me milk, which a mother does. So she was displaying, she did one motherly act for me. Okay, because of that, she will reach and become a mother in Vaikuntha planet. So she goes there. Aho bakiyam sanakala kutam, that famous verse, right? And so Krishna will see that, right? So Krishna has got this very good quality of, seeing only the good and ignoring whatever is the bad, right? And not see it. And in the pastime, you'll see that when Krishna, when Putana is offering her breast to Krishna to drink the poisoned milk, Krishna closes his eyes. Why is he closing the eyes? Because he's trying to ignore the fact. No, I don't want to see that bad thing that she's poisoning me. I'll only see the motherly act of him, right? So that's what Krishna does that does here. So forget about the friends, Krishna is so great that he does these kind of things even to those, who come to him with an inimical, with inimical behavior there, right? Now, something very also interesting thing over here is that he's using the word param and aparam, right? And using it, what was the meaning of the word param and aparam?
Superior.
Junior,
Param is the
and
same.
Junior and superior.
senior.
Superior, yeah, to be precise, and junior and senior, right? Junior and senior. So so he's now talking about, so you might one way of looking at it is that he was junior. Would be like, with age comes experience, and so you are still young, right? And Vivashwan and all, they're exalted people, big, right? And this was told, ancient science was told for such a long time. And I was telling the last time that, when things are ancient, then there is a little, aura around it that, it's something very precious, and it's time tested is what I had used, right? It's time tested piece of information. And there was some Leonardo da Vinci painting, which is of course, hundreds of years old now. Now somebody had paid $400 million in an auction. So $400 million, why? Ancient. It's not from a contemporary thing. It's from Leonardo da Vinci. 200 years ago, he painted this, right? And I have got it in my living room. I paid $400 million for that. You could have given it to Temple of Vedic Planetarium. But that's a different story, right? So ancient is there. So people might just say that I just want to hear the version of Bhagavad-gita that sun god told to Vivashwan. I don't want to hear it from everybody, right? Just as some people say, we'll only read Prabhupada's books and only hear from Prabhupada. I don't want to hear from any of Prabhupada's disciples and so on and so forth. They're not worth it, right? But the main question is that if you think that Prabhupada's disciples who heard from Prabhupada are not worth repeating it, then what use are Prabhupada's words if he cannot convert his own disciples, right? So there's a flaw in that understanding itself. But anyway, so people would like to say that, give me the version of Bhagavad-gita. And if there is no version of Bhagavad-gita, you can't find it, fine, I'm happy. I don't need a Bhagavad-gita in my life, right? But one of the things that the Acharyas tell us about this particular verse is that param and aparam is not just, superior in birth, inferior in birth. Aparam also means that, you are not old. It is not old. It is fresh. It's latest. It's modern technology, right? Yeah. Like how the kids of our age, they're born with a cell phone in their hand, like that. So, so he's saying that he's establishing the fact that, hey, this is a young man. This is a young man coming. And this is very interesting that sometimes, in my companies that I've worked in, we would just, bring and talk to the youngest person when it came to technology, Tell us what's the latest thing that's going on, because I only know COBOL. Or say, no, Python is the latest language. You can do this, and this is so powerful. They will tell you the young no. Right? Why? Because whatever is the need that you are talking about right now, they'll be able to tell you that, right? So in certain situations, you need to hear from somebody who can talk to you in the contemporary context And so it makes more sense to hear from Krishna as of now, the Krishna who took birth 5,000 years ago, and hear from Krishna now, because now whatever is the Bhagavad-gita that Krishna is going to speak will be more applicable to our lives now, right? And that's very, very important, because in Adhanik, in the modern world, people twist things, the people twist things, they doubt it, and they are faced with miseries. I mean, miseries are there in all the yugas. That's not a question, but the situation is different. The style of thinking is different, so Krishna is going to repeat that in a different manner, right? More applicable to the time and the place and the circumstances that we are on, right? So again, one of the things to notice again here is that Krishna is a devotee. So that is also one of the qualifications that we should have for listening the Bhagavad-gita, and that is that we have to be a devotee of the Lord. And I'll just, in that context, I'd like to bring up a verse from, no, not a verse, actually, this is from the Bhagavad-gita itself, and which is, let me bring this up here. In the introduction of Bhagavad-gita, Krishna, I think I have that up ready here. I'll just, yeah. Where was it? Right, this beautiful, I really love this verse. It says, Sarvopanishado gavo dogda gopalanandanaha partho vatsaha sudhi bhokta dugdam gita mritam mahat. So this Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, the essence of all the Upanishads is just like a cow. And the Lord Krishna, who is famous as a cowherd boy, is milking this cow. Arjuna is just like a calf. And learned scholars and pure devotees are to drink the nectarian milk of Bhagavad Gita. This comes from Gita Mahatmaya, So such a nice way of, like Krishna is milking, and then Arjuna is there, like a calf, and he's drinking it. And before, anything like that can happen, that relationship has got to be established, right? That this is a devotee of the Lord, and he is the best. He's the best. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante ma buddha bhava samanvita. So it's only you get to these kind of things, this kind of understanding, when you are a devotee of the Lord, right? And once you are a devotee of the Lord, then ekale Krishna are sabhi bhritya. There's only one Krishna who is the Supreme Master. All of them others are just the servants of the Lord. But also remember that later on in the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is going to come and say, Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhrid sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richyati. So nowadays there is so much of lack of peace, right? There's a war raging in one corner of the world today. And people are fighting each other. Why? Prabhupada had made a very nice observation about United Nations. He said, when you go to the United Nations headquarters, you see so many flags. Flags of the companies who are members of United Nations, right? And you're saying, we are United Nation. If you are a United Nation, and if you're all one nation, you'll have one flag, right? But you're there. And the reason is, why is that happening? Because the center is not Krishna. Why is United Nations ineffective? Because center is not Krishna. The moment center becomes Krishna, the moment you put Krishna's flag there, right? And understand, Bhoktaram yagya tapasam, that everything, Bhoktaram, for all the sacrifices that you do, all the hard work that you do in work, and right? It's a sacrifice. The results are meant for Krishna. And if you understand that results are all meant for Krishna, Bhoktaram Yattavasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, and that he is Maheshwar, Maha-Ishwar, is the supreme controller of Krishna, of the whole world. Once you understand that, right? Surhid Sarva Bhutanam. Surhid means that I am your friend. And I'm your friend. And where is that friend? If he's your friend, where is your friend? Where is he? You said you're my friend. Where are you? Where is he? Krishna? Where is Krishna? If he's a friend, he should be close to you, right? Where is he?
He's everywhere.
He's in my heart.
He's in your heart.
In the form of
exactly.
Paramatma.
He's in your heart in the form of Paramatma. And, Surhit, Hrit is heart, right? So he's your friend. He's your friend in your heart. But he's also Maheshwaram. He's the Maha Ishwar, means he's the Maha Controller. The problem is that because Mame Vanchu Jeeval, okay, because we are parts and parcel of Krishna, then we also have got a little bit of a controllership attitude in us, right? And so as long as we have that controllership attitude, we like to control things. And so although Krishna is in our heart, the reason we are not able to see Krishna in our heart is because we think that we are the controllers. So we are not able to see the other controller, the superior controller, right? But the moment you see that, so here there's Sarva Bhutanam, Gyatva Mam Shantim Richati, the moment you understand that, then peace is going to prevail everywhere in all of us. Like that, right? So that is why Cheto Darpanam Arjanam, you have to constantly cleanse the mirror of our mind, right? With this ahankar, I am and I am the controller. And once that goes away and we understand Vasudeva Sarvam Iti, Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha, right? It's difficult to find, but they are there. Such Mahatmas are the ones, who will have peace and they will try to spread peace all over the world like that. Okay. So I will stop here. We are a little bit over the half-past hour. And if there are any questions or reflections or anything, it's way past Sutapa's bedtime. So but thank you for accommodating. I know Fridays are difficult.
Thank you, Mataji, but I have to leave.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for a beautiful class.
And this coming Sunday at 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon, Varshana, you won't like it because that's too early for you. It's 5 a.m. I'll be giving the class at ISKCON of Silicon Valley. And
yes.
So we have to see.
The morning at 5 on Sunday. And on Sunday.
Not morning at Sunday. 5, Shraddha Mataji. At 2 o'clock in the morning.
Monday.
Yeah, 2 o'clock.
No, why 2 o'clock?
Oh, 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. No, not 4 o'clock, sorry.
4 o'clock.
3:35, 3:30 is 5, 3:30, 5 a.m. Monday. It's okay. It'll be recorded. It'll be posted on YouTube. ISKCON's YouTube. I'll send you that. Don't feel. You don't have to do that. But that's why I was saying you won't like it. It's early in the morning. Usually I give Wednesday classes. I mean, when I used to give classes at the temple, I used to give that. Guru Maharaj is away, and so Gandhavika Mataji has a list of people to cover while Maharaj is away. So this time she reached, and I had said no to her so many times that I felt so bad saying no again. So I said, okay, we'll just Krishna's mercy. Yeah.
Mataji, I really like the point here. Arjuna putting this question before the Lord is simply an attempt by devotee to defy the atheist attitude of a person who considers Krishna to be an ordinary human being.
Yes.
Subject to the modes of material nature. Very, very nice. I read it so many times, but noticed it today, Mataji.
Exactly. And this is so important. There are a couple of verses. Let me just bring this up. That people are... and why does it happen? Why do they not agree? Why do they not accept, right? There is envy of Krishna in the heart. And that envy makes your heart very hard. So when the envy for Krishna starts to go away, then the heart also becomes soft. And then you are like, Trinad api sunichena taror eva sahashrana amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Right? So that is what we are supposed to do. And it is so important. It's such an important verse that that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and since Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthday is coming, let me just share my screen because I brought up that verse for you to share, to just all of us to relish here. So it says, and this is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter Adi Lila, chapter 17, and this is verse number 32. So it says, Urdhva pahu kari kaho shuna sarvaloka Nama Sutre Ganti Para Kante E Shloka. So, and what is the shloka? Trinad Api Sunichena Taror Eva Sahashnuna. That's the shloka. And he's saying you should do something with this shloka. What are you supposed to do with this shloka? He's saying, raising my hands, I declare, everyone, please hear me. String this verse. Oops. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, something came here. Okay, string this verse on the thread of the holy name and wear it on your neck for continuous remembrance. Continuously, we have to remember to be Trinad api shunichena taror eva sarjuna. Continuously, we have to remember to be humbler than the blade of the grass and more tolerant
than a tree.
And so that if we string it like that, then, there are chances that we won't forget. And we can pick it up and, look at it every now and then and remember that we have to be humble, unless that humbleness doesn't come. And that humility was displayed by Arjuna when he says, Shishyasteham shadi mam tam prapannam, that I am your devotee and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. Right? So that humility came from Arjuna. And the moment he displayed that, then the flow started. The flow starts. It's a heart-to-heart connection. And again, parampara is exactly that. Parampara doesn't mean that somebody wrote the Bhagavad-gita and then others did a Xerox copy. It's so easy to make Xerox copies these days, right? And then, then the father made some copies and the son made some copies. And no, it has to enter into your heart, that knowledge. And it has to be lived. So Bhagavad-gita has got to be lived. When somebody, how when Prabhupada was preaching here, his disciples or the members, the devotees around him used to bring somebody like, hey, Prabhupada, this is like that. Devotees have this habit of glorifying. So once they brought somebody to Srila Prabhupada and said, Srila Prabhupada, this person has memorized the whole Bhagavad-gita. And like Krishna, he can recite the entire Bhagavad-gita in 45 minutes flat, just as Krishna had done it, right? So Prabhupada, was not impressed. Prabhupada turned to that man and said, can you live the Bhagavad-gita for 5 minutes? And that is the essence. You have to live it. It is a manual for life, Bhagavad-gita, the manual for life. And we have to read the manual scrutinizingly. Okay, anything else you want to share, or should we call it a day here?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, good to see you.
Same here, Mataji. Very nice to hear the nectarian Krishna Katha from your mouth. Mataji, I have a question actually.
Go ahead.
Like in this Shishtashtakam verse, like we just discussed, Trinadapi Shunichena, Tarura Iva Shahishnuna, Amani Manadena, Kirtanaya Sadahari. So a person who is like humbler than a blade of grass and who is, giving respect and honor to others and who is like always tolerating. So that person only can chant the holy name of the Lord incessantly. Otherwise, it's not possible, right, Mataji? Or
that is true. Yeah.
So these three qualities we need to develop, like the tolerance and humility and, giving respect or honor to others. Then only we can continuously chant the holy name. Otherwise, it's really, really difficult. So that's what I was. So, Mataji, how to get these qualities, like Mahamantra only to chant the holy name of the Lord, then only we can get these qualities.
Right. Yeah. The ways of getting the qualities, of course, Hare Krishna Mahamantra is so powerful. The holy name of the Lord is so powerful. And I had mentioned Jamin's story the other day that it is powerful. It always helps. And the other thing also is to be around people who are humble. See, you might have all noticed, right? After you come in the contact with ISKCON devotees, our behavior changes. I mean, we call everybody Mataji, Prabhuji, the way we talk to them, the way, the language, the tone of voice, everything is different. Why? From association. So if you're around people who are humble, then you will get humility. And do you know what is extreme humility? Real humility? Real humility is to do the will of the Lord. So for Arjuna, who was a Kshatriya, right? His will was not to fight, right? But then ultimately he did what Krishna wanted to do. That is utter humility. Complete surrender. Yeah.
Complete surrender. Exactly.
Parshana Mataji, you had a hand up.
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, the change which I have seen in myself, I would love to tell everybody.
Please.
Yes, Mataji, before coming to Krishna consciousness, for some time I used to feel bad. But since last 3-4 years, I have noticed if anybody says anything which is not according to, I mean, not favorable to me, or which is hurting, now it doesn't affect me at all.
Yep. Yeah, and that is what Bhagavad-gita does. I mean, so we say Bhagavad-gita is the manual of the life, and the reason we say that is because if it's a manual of the life, it should solve the problems of life, right? And which is the biggest problem of life? Tell me, other than birth, death, old age, and disease. Which are the other big problems that you have? No other problems? You only have birth, death, old age, disease problems?
We have so many: lust, greed, anger, so many problems we have.
We have problems, Mataji. Life
what is the biggest problem? Yeah. Most common problem, okay, not biggest. Most popular problem.
Ego.
Yeah, and that ego leads to a type of problem. Relationship problem. Right?
Yeah, I was about to say about attachment, Mataji. We are attached to it.
Yeah. So you have relationship problems, and so the biggest problem is relationship problem. So people fight, right? He's Hindu, he's Muslim, he's Russian, he's American, he's Ukrainian, like that. They fight, right? Or you are this caste and that caste. This is a big problem. And they kill on basis of that, right? And Krishna solved that problem. Second chapter itself, he said, "You are not the body." Finished. You're the soul.
Simple, one sentence.
Yeah. So the more you start thinking about that, I'm not the body, I'm not the body, I'm not the body, then other people hurting, who are they hurting? Who are they talking about? Who are they criticizing? Who are they neglecting? Who are they ignoring? Who are they insulting? The body. You're a soul which cannot change, which cannot be dried, which cannot be cut into pieces. That's big, big reassurance for life. Yeah. So that change is bound to happen. It's the effect of chanting. I see Niral Prabhu has joined the call here, and I'm just hoping that we'll have some darshan today. I don't know if he's listening. Niral,
Mataji, I just got the news, Mataji, that Benu's son Kush got the admission in Purdue University in computer engineering.
Oh, he's that big now? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Time flies. Very nice. Yeah, I was just saying one of Purdue University is very, I know somebody from Purdue University. She was, when I came to USA, she was just doing some research. And then later on, I just stumbled on her on LinkedIn, and she's now like executive director in Novartis, which is a very big pharmaceutical firm. Yeah. So good luck. He'll do great. Okay, now let's look at this one.
Hari bol.
Prabhu, you're on mute. Are you on mute or no? Okay. No. Yes, I can hear you.
Hari bol. Hari bol from Keshvi.
Krishna.
We had a wonderful time listening. She will last half an hour.
Now she is holding.
What does she have in her hand?
On to the choice. The teething ring.
The teething thing. Yeah. Very nice.
He likes to hold on to the bead bag, Kathy's bead bag.
I think you need to get a bead bag, right?
Yeah.
Get a bead bag.
Yes.
And you'll eat the beads, huh? Yeah.
Yes.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing Keshvi with us.
I wish I was there. I would have stitched one for her.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for joining. Huh?
Kathy's saying, Mataji, teach her how to do chanting and with as much dedication as you are doing, and All the things you do with so much of dedication.
I have no idea. Vaisheshika Prabhu just says that, before you sit down to chant, just pray Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advait Gadadhar, Shivasati Gaur Bhaktavinda. Say that 3 times. Because as we do chanting, we make some mistakes, and the other ones who forgive the mistakes. And when we do that, then they are merciful, and our chanting improves like that. So the solution for getting better chanting is to do more chanting. Keep at it. You will definitely reach there. Yeah. Prabhupada said it takes a long time. So it's going to take a long time for all of us. but we will reach there.
हम होंगे कामयाब.
Yes. Okay. Very nice. So I will take your leave. Thank you, Vishvi.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for the wonderful class.
Very nice, very nice.
Thank you so much, Shraddha Mataji, and I'm looking forward to Sunday. Remember, I texted you.
Thank you. Yes, you did. Yeah.
But today I'm feeling jealous.
Why?
That everybody can listen to her, and I will be listening to her afterwards.
Unless you can get up at 5 o'clock.
I can get up at 5.
Actually, not even 5. You can get up at 5:30 because half an hour is Kirtan. Her talk will start only at 4 o'clock. Right, Shraddha Mataji?
I don't know. I don't do Kirtan.
No, but they will make you do. They won't make you start talking at 3:30.
So, Mataji, Mataji, so it will start at 5:30.
It will start at 5, but at 5:30 her talk will start. You will not miss it if you get up at 5:30.
Monday morning.
Yeah, Monday morning.
I will do that.
Mataji, don't spoil your health for that, okay? If you have to, because this
No,
will be
the chanting will be done later than you say.
That's what I'm saying. That don't do unnecessary compromises.
Okay.
So,
as you say, Mataji.
Super Soul will take care of it. He'll make you up.
Thank you for the best class as always.
Yeah. That's the friendship, speaking. Alrighty, I'll take your leave. And now for those of you who are watching us also online here on Facebook, Vanchikalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Gopremanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you for joining. Shruti, take care. Hari Bol, Vaishnav Mataji.
Hari Mataji. Thank you so much.